So, my name is William. I wanted to talk to you today about growing tobacco. This is my first time ever, and I just wanted to talk to you about the stuff that I had to go through and the things that you'll probably be trying to look up that you couldn't find. And I used these starter cubes, and I sprinkled some seeds on there and just put some water in the plate, and in about 2 weeks or so they'll get to a good size, and I just started cutting them in proportion. And over here is another little starting tobacco that I had. And whenever you're starting them out, always make sure that the light is an inch above the plant at all times. And I learned that since tobacco has sandy soil in most parts of, the region. I'm in East Texas right now, so I bought some sands from Home Depot, and I took some potting soil and mixed them together, and it worked pretty well for me. Now, if you see over here, it's about to produce about 15 leaves, and the leaves are pretty big. I have the room right now around 80 Fahrenheit, and it's about to start flowering in about a month. Now, I do want to say that I used a survival blanket for the outer layer so it could reflect on the most of the leaves in the back, and it's working quite well. This is a Virginia Gold, and this is a Connecticut Broadleaf. Now, what I tried to learn in the process through this is how well it would grow inside. And it came to find out that they're very emotional plants. Now, these are growing pretty well, and I've actually liked growing them a lot. I feel like a parent at this point. But I had to start using a fan to get the plant stronger from the leaves shaking and get the airflow in here. And I had the humidity set at around 70 to 75, which is about the same curing humidity that you want whenever you're drying the tobacco themselves. What's going to happen is whenever these flowers start to pop up, you're going to clip them off, and for Connecticut Broadleaf, 3 weeks later, these bottom leaves are going to start to turn yellow. And whenever it gets to a pale yellow, it means that it's at about 50% water inside of the leaf. And that means that you want to snap it off, and it'll sound like celery whenever you break it off. Now you want to match the veins together so you can get good airflow through the leaves. And for the Fahrenheit, whenever you're pretty much drying them, I kept it around 90 from my other plant. And this one is another Virginia Gold. You can tell the color. And it's also about to start flowering in another month or two. And all I used for it was a Lowe's bucket, and I filled it to the top. These two right here, for both of the Virginia Gold, I only used potting soil. You can tell how much progress I made with the sand inside the potting soil on the Connecticut Broadleaf. They were both planted at the same time, and I skipped the whole transferring, the containers, and I just started them out from a simple cup, and then I put it straight into a Lowe's container because I didn't want there to be any taken up time from the roots gathering inside the bottom of the cup. So by doing that, it shot down to the Lowe's bucket quicker, and it was able to get all the nutrition that it could. And you could just see over here, I'm going to show you how thick that is right here. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful plant. Now I did have a problem with gnats and their larvae and everything, so I pretty much took peroxide, 1 part peroxide and 4 parts water, and I sprayed it at the top, and it's pretty good now. Now I'm gonna show you some of the things that I used in the water to let you know the best way that it could possibly grow. I used a root simulator, high yield, and it has directions on the back. And whenever it was still inside of these squares, I put it into the water about 4 drops per quart, and it just started to blossom from there. Now you have to watch out for leaves whenever they start to drop too much or droop. You know, it could be from the sunlight or watering, but you never really can tell until it gets to the point where it looks scary. I made the mistake of pretty much leaving the light on all day for, I'd say, about 10 hours, and I came back and they were just all on the ground pretty much, just shriveled up. So I'm going to recommend that whenever you're growing tobacco, you only give it about 6 to 8 hours, or else it would wilt really bad. And also what you might want to look at is insects on the leaves. You always have to keep an eye on it, because caterpillars could devour a whole entire leaf within a day. And you can see I barely have anything on these leaves. It's just beautiful. And this one is over 1.4 inches, and the other ones are reaching that point too. Now I made the mistake of leaving for a day, and the leaf touched the top of the light bulb and it scorched it. So for this leaf right here, I might actually shred it for cigarettes, and then the rest are going to be for cigars. Now on other videos they'll tell you that it is pretty easy to grow tobacco, and I'm here to tell you that I disagree full-heartedly. It's something you have to be patient with, and you have to give time. Now in total, it's been about almost 4 months that I've taken growing these. So I'm going to say within 5 months, it's actually going to be ready to pick. Now the one thing is that if you don't take these pods off whenever they're flowering, then all the energy from the roots in the plant is going to go to the flowers and not the leaves. But if you break off the flowers, then all the energy goes back into the leaves, and about 3 weeks later, as I said, it's going to start to turn yellow. Now the starting leaves that you could see right there, I cut off so the roots could grow deeper. Even though I already had a root simulator, I wanted to be, prepared for it. And I pretty much cut those so the roots could do their thing, and as you could tell, it worked great. Now I'm also growing peppers and other tobacco and tomatoes in the back, along with carrots and other things. This is pretty much my grow back room for plants. And you could just see how beautiful they are, and I would recommend you to grow it, but be mindful that you might want to get a little tester. Now I don't use pH levels or anything like that. I'm more traditional besides the stuff that I use for the roots. And I would say that you might want to buy a temperature reader for the inside along with the humidity tester, because humidity and light is key for these, like they really are. And this right here, it's about 1 inch thick, growing up. Now you should know that tobacco, whenever it's growing, it goes leaf by leaf. It grows upward. So just know that you should not be worried if the leaves start to point up whenever the light is gone, because that's normal. What you should be worried about is if they don't point up at the top whenever the light is gone. That does mean something is wrong. But overall, you should be fine. And remember that whenever you're starting these, you always want to have the light an inch above the plant, because it'll have it grow quicker. And I recommend buying a spray bottle with a mist setting on there, because any sort of droplet could kill the starting plant. They're very fragile, and just the stem is very, very thin on a tobacco plant until it gets about a month in. And I've started them on these little squares on the cubes, because all you have to do is fill up the plate with water and it soaks into it and it grows. Now once I see any sort of green on these cubes, I take a razor and I cut them into sections so I can put them into these cups. Now they're just normal cups. So that's my tip to you. And as you can tell right here, this leaf that I cut at the very beginning, the starter leaf, is now deteriorating into the ground, because that's what most leaves do outside whenever you're growing tobacco. Now I do recommend growing inside because you have a much better leaf. And one thing I want to tell you is, there's always 3 sections to a tobacco plant. And after that 3 weeks after you take the flowers off, the 3 bottom leaves are going to turn yellow, and then you pick them. And then a couple weeks later the middle does it, and you pick them, and then the top layer. Now, the top layer of the plant is always going to be the tastiest whenever it's cured and ready. But I do not recommend at all smoking it right after you take it off of the plant, because it can kill you. It still is deadly. It has a lot of chemicals that need to be released while it's being cured. And as a warning, tobacco plants still are dangerous, and depending on your state laws, do it accordingly and legal. Now the reason why I did this is for learning purposes, and I want to be a tobacco farmer one day, and I wanted to see how much it would take to grow tobacco. And I have been doing journal entries on these, so whenever I am ready, I can grow fields of them. If y'all have any questions or anything at all, just DM me and feel free. I will answer back on any questions that you have through the journey that I've been going through. But as I said, this is William. Have a blessed day and keep growing.